honestly never thought I'd see this day, but here we are at the beginning of 2025. I received an email from Hasselblad asking if I wanted to create some photo work with their X2D for the course of 2025 over on Instagram. Obviously I said yes, because that was just absolutely incredible and a huge opportunity for me, and I absolutely love camera gear. And I figured, as I have this camera and I'm using this camera throughout the year, I may as well make a YouTube video of it and utilize this opportunity to provide something to you guys and just document my experience with the X2D, shooting it in various different situations throughout 2025. Just to get kind of the boring stuff out of the way, this is not sponsored by Hasselblad. They didn't ask me to make this video. All of the work that I'm doing with them is based over on Instagram. But as with anything that I make, I try and be as unbiased as I can and just authentic and genuine and just sharing my true experiences, the good and the bad, which is what I'll be doing in this video. This video is in fact though sponsored by MPB, and I'll be talking about them later on. But just to get right into my initial experience with this, I've owned this for just over a month now, been able to shoot with it in various different locations, but specifically I went down to the desert, to Bryce Canyon National Park, did a bit of off-roading, did a bit of camping, and then ended up in Dead Horse Point State Park here in Utah, and just kind of put this through its paces in a typical weekend shooting as I would whether I was using my Leica Q3. Now, I've used medium format before. I've used the GFX system, variety of different cameras, but the Hasselblad takes it to a next level, and as it should, because it's an incredibly expensive camera and just all-round system. The lenses are not cheap either, but you definitely get what you pay for. They are handmade in Sweden. The craftsmanship is absolutely incredible. It feels so good, and quite frankly, it's actually not much bigger than my Q3 actually. So I have the XCD 38mm, which is about 30mm full frame, and I got it because it matches, or it's very close to the 28mm on my Q3, so it's just a focal range that I just love, and it's just kind of my go-to focal range. But in terms of size, it's not much different. Obviously it's got an actual decent grip, whereas the Q3 doesn't, but I don't actually mind that. But it's generally it's just a little bit bigger than the Q3. Obviously the build quality is absolutely incredible. The design is just very minimal, and I actually quite like that. There are a few things that I don't like with the design. I don't like the on button. It's not a switch, it's just a button. There's no feedback that I'm used to with pretty much every other camera company. You flick it on, you feel that feedback, you know you've turned it on. It just took a while to get used to not having that feedback. But the build quality itself is incredible. Reminds me very similarly of the Q3, but there is just a bit more heft to it. It's got a USB-C port for file transfer and charging. It also has a compact flash memory card slot, which is actually empty in my camera because I utilize the 1 terabyte of built-in flash memory.
Later on in the night, when the crowds have gone, we could talk under moonlight till dawn. We could stay to watch the sunrise. Cancel.
A feature that I've been really enjoying on the X2D is the X-Pan mode. So X-Pan is basically a different format, different ratio, should I say, than the traditional 4:3 of medium format. It is a 24:65 ratio, so it's essentially just ultra wide panorama format, and you can program it to a button and it just adds black bars. There's also some other formats like 1:1, but I really like this format because it's very CinemaScope-esque. And it's something that I wish we saw in more cameras. I know that Fujifilm does it, but you have to shoot in JPEG as well to enable that. But the Hasselblad just lets you do it without any other requirements, and it retains all that data when you import it into Lightroom. It just has that crop already there, and you can uncrop back to 4:3 if you wish. But it's a format of photography that I've been really enjoying lately because it leans closer to what I'm used to filming with my anamorphic lenses. Gives my work that same kind of feel and just helps me kind of branch out a little bit more, as it allows me to approach a scene a little differently with this ultra wide aspect ratio. If it's not obvious, I absolutely love camera gear, and I love making these videos because it gives me more things to try out, and obviously I'm able to provide something hopefully meaningful for you guys. Now, I'm not always fortunate enough for companies to send me gear to test out, so I do buy a lot of the gear myself. But alongside this, I cycle through gear a lot, so I'm getting rid of gear at the same time as I'm picking up something new. Now, if I was to buy something brand new, I would lose a lot of money if I kept doing that all the time, which is where this video's sponsor comes in, which is MPB. If you're unfamiliar with MPB, they offer high quality used camera gear, along with the option to trade in your gear to either offset the cost or just put some money back in your pocket. If I'm selling something, I do try to sell it locally, but MPB does offer excellent market value for trade-ins, and they take away all of the headache of having to deal with negotiating people. They give you a value based on the condition of the product, and there's no hassle and no stress. But what I love the most about MPB is that every single piece of equipment you're looking at if you're looking to buy something is photographed individually, so what you're seeing is what you're going to get. And they also offer warranty options to give you greater peace of mind. MPB helps promote a circular economy by giving old gear new life and just helps prevent waste in general. I've been using them for almost a decade now whenever I need to buy new gear or if I just have something that I'm unable to sell locally. It's just been the easiest option for me and just makes that whole process a lot easier. And I'm super grateful that they've sponsored this video. If you appreciate the value that I provide in these videos and you have something that you're trying to replace or you want to upgrade some gear, then check out the link in the description. It signals to MPB that I'm providing value to them, and hopefully they'll continue to sponsor this channel, which will continue to allow me to make these videos for you. Obviously, the biggest thing about medium format is image quality. This has an absolute enormous sensor size, and you really understand that when you're working with these files. Not only are they huge, and they do sometimes slow my laptop down, they have an insane amount of latitude with how much you can manipulate them in post-processing, and the color fidelity is just absolutely incredible. I honestly thought I probably wouldn't see too much difference comparing side by side to my Q3, but I definitely do, not only in color, but also in depth and rendering, and that definitely comes with that added sensor size. I've always been a fan of medium format rendering. It's definitely something that feels a little bit more film-esque. And this has just been such a joy to use, particularly because I like to use a subject, whether it's a vehicle, particularly because I'm a big fan of shooting wide open, as it just creates a really nice background separation or just subject separation. It's definitely very minimal. I mentioned it was minimal in design, but it's minimal in its user interface as well. It's very basic. It does allow you some customization, but you know, it's nothing compared to what you may be used to with like an A7 IV, or even a GFX has a lot more kind of menus that you can go through. This is just very stripped down, just kind of gets to what you need to use to utilize it as a camera, and that's it. There's no frills, there's no other things that you can mess around with or tweak or customize. It's definitely the very bare bones, pure minimalist experience, and I actually kind of like that. I've talked about this before, that with my creative process photography, I've liked to slow down lately, and I've been kind of leaning into being a part of that moment a little bit more and just appreciating what I'm looking for in a scene. And the X2D has definitely helped me to focus more on that and just be more in the moment and slow down in my creative process. And I'm super excited to keep creating with it for the rest of this year. Have some really exciting trips coming up. I'm going back to England finally after many years, getting up here to Scotland, and I've got Iceland coming up in the summer as well. So I'm excited to get the X2D into some really awesome and epic locations. If you have any questions about the X2D, then as always, you can reach out in the comments down below or message me on Instagram. I appreciate you tuning in. Hope this video has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.